This is Captain Chris Myers, Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters. Thanks for checking us out today, and please become a subscriber to my channel for all my fishing tips. Today I'm going to talk about a knot that I've been testing all year long. Finally, I have enough confidence in it that I'll recommend it to my subscribers and my clients, and it is the improved Alberto knot. I'm using this knot to connect my braided line to my leader, and the reason I like it, and I've been using it in place of, in certain situations, of the double uni knot, is the knot is much smaller than a double uni. So size isn't an issue. If you have large guides on your rods, double uni, strongest knot I use, never comes apart. This knot is much thinner. I can use this with 40 and 50 pound braid on my ultralight rods, which we do in saltwater on a routine basis. A lot of the rods today start having these micro guides on them, and even 20-pound line has a problem when you tie a double uni knot, getting in and out of those guides without catching on the guides or popping the insert out of the guide. You get up to 60, 80 pound, 100 pound braid, you try to cast that stuff and you don't have a thin knot. It's really hard. So I've tested this all year, used it on numerous large tarpon, redfish, snook, trout, all kind of saltwater fish. Not one time have I had it come apart, so I'm confident that I can recommend it to you. And I'm going to show you tying it from the tier's point of view, and we're first going to do it in some heavy stuff so you can really see how to do it, and we're going to actually do it with some fishing line. First, we're going to tie this Alberto knot in some really heavy stuff so it's much easier for you to see the technique. It's not going to cinch down as good. I'm not going to be able to make as many wraps, but you will get the idea of how you tie this knot. Orange is my leader, black is my braided line, or you can do this in mono, but this is perfect for braided line. I'm going to fold my leader in half, a couple inches, make a loop, up through the loop. It doesn't matter which way you come, it'll matter which way you go back out at the end, but I come from underneath. I transfer my grip to over here. Now I pull out it enough to make my 20 wraps. It'll be 10 down this way, 10 back the other way. In this heavy stuff, we're only going to make a few. I start wrapping underneath and around over the top. I pinch that braid in between those two fingers. Reach under, come around, make the next wrap right next to it, pinch it off. By pinching it off in between these two fingers, it doesn't get away from you, it doesn't come unwound, it doesn't get sloppy. So I keep wrapping those wraps down from my right to my left. I make 10. When I get to number 10, I stop. Then I transfer my grip point from here down to here. Now I start going back the other way, right over the top of these wraps. And I go 1, and I pinch it off in these two fingers. 2, pinch it off. 3, pinch it off. 4, so you get all the way to 10, you'll be right back where you started from. Now's the important part, how we finish this thing. So when we come up through, I turn it over, so I like mine going down. I just flip it over, and then we're going to take this end piece and we're going to go through the same direction, not the opposite direction, same direction. The regular Alberto knot right there, it's finished. I like the improved version of that where we make a couple little extra hitches. So I'm going to come through once, pull it down. I come through twice, I pull it down, and then I come through a third time. And I let that one go right up next to my braid. So that's what we should have. Now I start taking this hand and start pushing these wraps up towards the end. We don't want them to come up over the end of our leader, but up towards the end of that. And now I can start pulling on my main braided line. Yank that down tight. When you do that, this should start changing colors to show you have it tight. I can trim that off right there as close as possible. Trim this off right here as close as possible. You have a very small and a very strong knot. So let's get some regular line and see what that looks like with regular leader and braid. Right here I have my 40-pound leader. I'm going to fold that over 3-4 inches or so. Pinch it down a little if you got heavier leader. You can do this in 80, 100 pound. You can do it in 20 pound. You can do it whatever size you want, whatever size braid and whatever size leader. I take my braided line, stick it up through the bottom, Here, I'm going to pinch this loop off in these two fingers, just pull through as much as I need. Always better to have a little too much than not enough. Start wrapping down under and over the top. I pinch it off in those fingers, over the top, pinch it off, top, pinch it off. So every time pinching it off there so it doesn't get away from me and start going sideways. So you can go nice and quick. And if you made a little too many wraps, that's fine. I'm making at least 10. If you made 12 or 13, that'll still work fine as well. When we get our 10 wraps down there, now is when I'm going to switch positions over to this hand. And I'm going to start working back. I'm going to go a little bit slower to make sure these wraps are sitting next to each other. 3, pinching them off in these fingers now. 4, 5, 6. So make 11 there. Now, let's see which way that's coming through. It's going down out the bottom. So I'm going to take my end of my braid, put it through from top to bottom the same way. There's my one hitch, pull that down, put it through the same way. There's my second hitch, pull that down, and the third way I'm going to pull that up. Still holding all that in those fingers. Transfer these two pieces over to my right hand. Start pushing those wraps up towards the end slowly, otherwise it'll just shoot out over the end of your loop. Nice and slow till they're close. Start pulling a little bit, snug it up. This is where you want to take your time and don't just snatch it down and ruin everything you just worked for. So now it's pretty close. I can just pull on the main braid really hard. If you want, you can get some gloves on to do this. You can barely see where the yellow has started to darken. The green braid will darken as well. Tells you got it pulled down tight. Once you're satisfied that is pulled down as tight as you can get it, now you can clip off the tag ends. And normally I would use my snip tool, which I left back at the house. I'm going to use my little pair of scissors. Cut that off. If you leave a little bit too long of a tag end here, if you leave that sticking out too much, it catches on the guide as you try to reel it back in, and the braid will also catch up underneath that. You want to make sure you got that nice and short. Same thing on this side. Cut that right up close. So there is my improved Alberto knot. You can see how small that thing is for 40 pound. That is a tiny knot. Goes through guides on my ultralight rods all the time. I've tested it this year a ton, never had a problem with it yet. So I like it a lot better than the FG knot. Give it a try. See if it works well for you. I hope you find that knot useful. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Please become a subscriber, and if you're in the Central Florida area, come see me for a saltwater fishing charter.